The most dangerous people don't act like enemies. They act like friends. They smile first. They listen more than they speak. They make you feel comfortable, sometimes within minutes, and that comfort is exactly where the trap begins. Excessive kindness is not always generosity. Often it's calculation. Machiavelli warned that power rarely appears as threat. It appears as charm. The individuals who seek control don't intimidate you. They study you. They observe how you respond, what lowers your guard, and what makes you feel important. Because once a person understands your psychology, they don't need force. They only need timing. Friendly behavior can be genuine. But Machiavelli understood something most people ignore. Friendliness is also the perfect disguise. It hides ambition, it hides strategy, and it hides intentions that are never spoken out loud. The most effective manipulators don't pressure you. They agree with you. They encourage you. They make you feel understood. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to trust them more than they've earned. That's not an accident. That's design. Think about it. Who do people reveal secrets to? Who do they open up to? Who do they lower their defenses around? Not the aggressive ones, the friendly ones. Machiavelli wrote that men are quick to trust appearances. They judge by what they see, not by what lies beneath. And those who understand this use kindness as a weapon, because no one suspects a blade wrapped in silk. Real manipulation doesn't feel like control. It feels like connection. It feels like support. It feels like loyalty. It feels like someone who just wants the best for you. Until one day, you realize they know too much. They influence your decisions. They shape your reactions. And you don't remember when you handed them that power. This is why Machiavellian awareness is not about being cold or cruel. It's about seeing clearly, understanding that not everyone who smiles at you is on your side, and not every friendly gesture is free. Some people are gathering information. Some are positioning themselves. Some are waiting for the right moment to benefit. And they reveal themselves not through aggression, but through patterns of behavior. In this video, you're going to learn 7 warning signs Machiavelli would recognize immediately when someone acts too friendly. These signs expose when kindness stops being genuine and starts becoming strategic. Once you see them, you stop confusing warmth with loyalty. You stop mistaking charm for character. Because real power is not suspicion, it is awareness. Before we go deeper, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I see hidden intentions. Say it like you mean it. Because from this moment on, you're not here to be impressed by smiles. You're here to read behavior. Number 1. Excessive praise is a hook. Compliments feel harmless. Encouraging words feel supportive. Admiration feels flattering. That's exactly why this tactic works so well. People who rely on manipulation rarely begin with pressure. They begin with admiration. They highlight your strengths before you question their intentions. They focus on your intelligence, your taste, your potential, your difference. Not randomly, but selectively. This is not appreciation. This is assessment. Strategic flattery is designed to do one thing first: activate your ego. When your ego is engaged, your critical thinking slows down. You start listening more closely. You start caring about their approval. And without realizing it, you adjust your behavior to maintain the image they've reflected back to you. Machiavelli understood this dynamic clearly. He observed that people are far more vulnerable when they feel admired. Praise creates emotional elevation. Emotional elevation creates openness, and openness creates access. Notice how calculated this kind of admiration feels. It arrives early. It feels slightly exaggerated. It focuses on traits that matter deeply to you. That's not coincidence. That's targeting. A manipulator doesn't compliment randomly, they compliment strategically. They search for the part of you that wants validation, and they feed it. Once that part is satisfied, it becomes dependent. And dependency is where influence begins. There's another layer most people miss. Excessive praise subtly creates expectation. When someone repeatedly tells you how capable, wise, or strong you are, they quietly shape how you believe you should act around them. You begin to perform the version of yourself they admire. Saying no feels like disappointing them. Disagreeing feels like breaking alignment. That's control, without command. Machiavelli warned that those who flatter are rarely loyal. They serve their own advantage. Praise is cheap, influence is profitable, and the exchange happens quietly. Watch how this behavior escalates. First comes admiration, then comes agreement, then comes emotional closeness, then comes suggestion. By the time advice enters the conversation, it already feels trustworthy, because it's coming from someone who believes in you. But belief can be staged. True respect doesn't need repetition. Genuine admiration doesn't need exaggeration. When praise feels constant, intense, or unusually focused, it's no longer about you, it's about access. There is also a psychological imbalance created here. The person praising positions themselves as the observer, while you become the observed. They study your reactions. Which compliments land hardest? Which words make you relax? Which validations make you open up further? Information is being gathered. And once someone knows what feeds your ego, they know how to guide your decisions. This is why Machiavellian thinking treats flattery with caution, not gratitude. Not because praise is always false, but because strategic praise always has direction. It leads somewhere. It aims for influence, not connection. Strong individuals don't reject compliments. They simply don't absorb them emotionally. They acknowledge without attachment. They remain grounded. They keep their internal balance untouched. Because the moment your self-worth depends on external admiration, your autonomy weakens. Observe behavior, not words. Is the praise consistent with actions? Does it appear before trust is earned? Does it increase when they want something? Those answers reveal everything. Before moving on, drop this affirmation in the comments. My ego stays silent. Hold that line firmly, because the more control you have over your ego, the less control anyone else can take from you. Number 2, they share secrets too fast. Trust is not built through speed. It is built through time, consistency, and restraint. So when someone reveals deeply personal details early, failures, betrayals, private conflicts, emotional wounds, it should not feel comforting. It should feel premature. This is where many people get misled. Rapid disclosure creates an illusion of intimacy. It signals vulnerability. It feels honest. And it triggers a psychological reflex, reciprocity. When someone opens up, you feel pressure to do the same. Not because you want to, but because it feels socially expected. That expectation is the doorway. Machiavelli understood that information is power long before the modern world named it. Those who reveal too much too quickly are not always careless. Often they are strategic. They are setting a pace that benefits them, not you. Oversharing is rarely spontaneous. It is often intentional positioning. When someone discloses sensitive material early, they are testing boundaries. They are watching how you respond. Do you lean in? Do you reassure them? Do you share something equally personal in return? Every reaction teaches them something. What most people don't realize is that this tactic flips the power dynamic instantly. The person who speaks first appears vulnerable, but the person who listens gains insight, and insight when unevenly distributed, creates leverage. Machiavellian awareness recognizes a simple truth. The one who knows more controls the frame. Fast disclosure pressures you into emotional openness before trust exists. It bypasses judgment. It creates a sense of we without foundation. And once that artificial closeness is established, boundaries feel awkward to enforce. That's the trap. Strategic oversharing also serves another purpose. It establishes moral credit. The person appears authentic, brave, transparent. Later, if their behavior raises suspicion, your mind defends them. They were honest with me, you think. They trusted me. But trust was never earned. It was staged. Watch carefully how this behavior unfolds. First, they share something personal. Then they emphasize how rarely they open up. Then they highlight how safe they feel around you. That sequence is designed to anchor emotional responsibility. Now, if you pull back, you feel cold. If you stay guarded, you feel unfair. This is not connection. This is pressure. Machiavelli warned against confusing openness with loyalty. Words cost nothing. Information exchanged unevenly costs everything. When someone gives you a secret too soon, they are often buying yours at a discount. And once your vulnerabilities are known, they can be used in subtle ways, not through threats, through timing, through suggestion, through emotional leverage disguised as concern. Suddenly, advice feels personal, disagreement feels insensitive, distance feels like betrayal. That's how influence takes root. A disciplined mind understands this. Genuine trust unfolds slowly. It is built through behavior over time, not confessions over coffee. Healthy people respect pacing. They allow familiarity to develop naturally. Those who rush closeness are often trying to secure advantage before scrutiny arrives. Observe patterns, not emotions. Do they reveal sensitive details before shared history exists? Do they encourage you to match their level of openness? Do they reference your disclosures later in subtle ways? Those signs are not random. Machiavellian strategy teaches restraint, not silence, but selectivity. You decide what is shared, when, and with whom. You protect information until loyalty proves itself through action. Before moving forward, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I protect my inner world. Because what you reveal shapes who holds power over you. Number 3. Constant agreement is positioning. Alignment feels reassuring. Shared opinions feel validating. When someone mirrors your views perfectly, it creates a sense of unity. That sensation is precisely why this tactic remains effective. People assume harmony equals honesty. They assume sameness equals sincerity. Yet calculated alignment has nothing to do with loyalty. It has everything to do with advantage. Those who always echo your beliefs are rarely convinced. They are mapping. Machiavelli observed that intelligent operators seldom expose their true stance early. They remain flexible. They adapt. They listen more than they declare. Agreement, when used strategically, becomes camouflage. It allows a person to blend into your perspective while gathering influence from within it. Unbroken concurrence should raise questions. Authentic thinkers have friction. They challenge. They disagree at times. They express nuance. When someone never does, when their responses feel too smooth, too familiar, too aligned, it's worth pausing. Because mirroring is a method, this technique works by dissolving resistance. When someone consistently reflects your worldview, your mind categorizes them as safe. Opposition disappears. Caution fades. And once your defenses relax, influence becomes effortless. Notice how this unfolds. You share an opinion. They immediately affirm it. You explain your reasoning. They amplify it. Soon, conversations stop feeling like exchanges and start feeling like confirmations. You're no longer thinking critically. You're being reinforced. And reinforcement, when constant, reshapes perception. Machiavellian strategy recognizes that agreement creates access. It lowers barriers faster than persuasion ever could. Why argue when you can align? Why confront when you can embed? There's another layer beneath this behavior. By agreeing repeatedly, they avoid revealing their own framework. Their values remain hidden. Their motives stay untested. Meanwhile, yours become clearer with every conversation. The informational balance tilts quietly. Silence paired with agreement is not neutrality, it's concealment. Those who operate this way are not trying to bond. They are positioning themselves inside your mental space. Once there, subtle guidance becomes possible. Suggestions feel natural, recommendations feel aligned. Influence feels mutual, even when it's one-sided. This is how direction replaces dialogue. Machiavelli warned that those who adapt too easily often serve themselves first. Flexibility without principle is not openness, it's opportunism. The ability to shift perspectives instantly is useful only to those seeking advantage. Pay attention to patterns. Do they ever introduce a conflicting idea? Do they challenge you respectfully? Do they express independent judgment? If not, what appears to be harmony may simply be surveillance. Agreement also builds expectation. When someone consistently aligns with you, disagreement later feels jarring. If they eventually oppose you, it carries more weight. If they remain aligned, you may begin to rely on them for validation. Either outcome benefits them. Dependence is forming. Machiavellian awareness teaches skepticism toward perfect symmetry. Real relationships contain contrast. Real loyalty withstands disagreement. Real respect does not require constant affirmation. Observe behavior over time. Do their opinions change based on who they're speaking to? Do they mirror others as easily as they mirror you? Do they avoid taking firm positions? These signals reveal adaptive intent. The disciplined individual welcomes dialogue, not echo. They value contrast because it sharpens judgment. They understand that alignment earned through debate is stronger than agreement offered freely. Power favors those who maintain their own center. When you encounter constant agreement, don't confront it. Don't reward it. Simply slow down. Reduce disclosure. Introduce complexity. Watch how they respond when mirroring becomes difficult. That reaction tells you everything. Number 4. They offer help without being asked. Assistance feels generous. Support feels reassuring. When someone steps in before you request anything, it can look like care. But unsolicited help is rarely neutral. Power often enters relationships disguised as usefulness. When aid is offered too early, too often, or without clear reason, it changes the structure of interaction. It quietly establishes imbalance. One person becomes the provider, the other becomes the receiver. And once that dynamic forms, expectations follow, spoken or unspoken. Machiavelli understood that obligation is stronger than force. A favor creates memory. Memory creates pressure. Pressure creates compliance, not immediately, but eventually. Unrequested assistance is not about solving your problem. It is about creating position. Observe how this begins. They step in quickly. They solve something you didn't ask them to fix. They minimize the effort. It's nothing. They refuse repayment. Nothing about that is accidental. By declining repayment, they keep the account open. A balance remains. And human psychology dislikes imbalance. You begin to feel indebted, even if you never agreed to the exchange. This is where leverage forms. The person offering help gains moral elevation. They appear generous, capable, reliable. Later, when they request something, attention, agreement, access, it feels reasonable. After all, they've been there for you. But the support was never requested. The debt was never agreed upon. Machiavellian awareness recognizes that generosity used strategically is not kindness. It is investment, and every investment expects return. Another layer hides beneath this behavior. Unsolicited help also communicates superiority. It subtly suggests that you needed intervention, that you were unable to handle the situation alone. Even when delivered politely, the message lands quietly in the background. This reframes roles. They become the problem solver, you become the dependent. Once that frame sets, autonomy weakens. Decisions start to feel collaborative when they shouldn't be. Advice carries more weight than it deserves. Resistance feels ungrateful. That's control without confrontation. Watch how often this help appears during moments of vulnerability, stress, confusion, transition. These are not coincidences. Influence is easiest when stability is disrupted. Machiavelli warned that those who seek dominance rarely seize it openly. They build it through obligation, through usefulness, through appearing indispensable. And once someone feels indispensable, they begin to dictate terms. This tactic also tests boundaries. Do you accept help automatically? Do you feel awkward declining? Do you explain yourself when saying no? Every reaction provides information. It tells them how easily you can be guided, how strongly you value approval, how reluctant you are to assert independence. Strong individuals recognize this early. They appreciate offers, but they choose carefully. They accept only what aligns with their intent. They repay quickly. They close loops. They do not allow invisible balances to remain, because unfinished exchanges create silent influence. There is also a timing pattern to watch. Notice when assistance increases. Is it during moments when you gain opportunity, visibility, momentum? If support rises alongside your value, it may not be support at all, it may be positioning. Machiavellian strategy respects self-sufficiency. It values alliances built on clarity, not obligation. Real cooperation is mutual and transparent. It does not rely on emotional accounting. When help arrives uninvited, pause. Assess motive. Ask yourself what position it creates, not how it feels. You don't need to reject generosity. You need to control the frame. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I owe nothing. Say it calmly, because the less psychological debt you carry, the harder it is for anyone to control your direction. Number 5. They are friendly in public, cold in private. Consistency reveals character. Inconsistency reveals strategy. When someone is warm, engaging, and attentive around others, but distant, detached, or minimal when alone with you, that contrast is not a mood shift. It is positioning. Public friendliness builds reputation. Private coldness preserves control. This pattern operates on image management rather than connection. In group settings, they perform approachability. They laugh. They compliment. They appear generous with attention. Observers see charm and assume trustworthiness. Social proof does the work for them. But when the audience disappears, so does the warmth. This split behavior creates confusion. You question yourself. Was the friendliness real? Did you imagine the distance? That uncertainty weakens judgment, and weakened judgment makes people easier to manage. Machiavellian thinking understands that power is maintained through perception. Appearances shape belief. Belief shapes influence. By controlling how they are seen publicly, they insulate themselves from scrutiny. Any concern you raise later conflicts with the image others have already accepted. That conflict rarely ends in your favor. Public warmth also establishes hierarchy. When they appear benevolent in front of others, they claim moral high ground. When they withdraw privately, they keep emotional leverage. You are left seeking clarity while they remain unreadable. Unreadability is strength. This tactic also discourages confrontation. Calling out cold behavior feels petty when everyone else sees them as kind. You hesitate. You rationalize. You internalize the discomfort instead of addressing it directly. That hesitation benefits them. Observe how private interactions feel. Are conversations brief and controlled? Is emotional depth avoided? Are responses efficient rather than engaged? If warmth only exists when witnessed, it is not warmth, it is display. Machiavelli warned that those who desire dominance prefer distance. Intimacy reduces leverage. Familiarity invites equality. By limiting private connection, they prevent balance from forming. This distance also keeps you guessing. You may try harder to earn approval. You may question what changed. You may adjust behavior to regain the friendliness you saw publicly. In doing so, you move closer to their center of control. That effort is not noticed or rewarded. Another function of this behavior is deniability. If confronted, they can point to public moments as evidence of goodwill. The private withdrawal becomes your interpretation, not their action. This asymmetry protects them. Pay attention to timing. Does warmth increase when others are present? Does detachment appear when no one is watching? Does praise occur publicly while criticism or silence occurs privately? Patterns matter more than isolated moments. Machiavellian awareness treats consistent behavior as currency. People who mean well do not compartmentalize kindness. They do not require witnesses to be respectful. They do not perform care selectively. Those who do are managing narrative, not relationships. This strategy also signals emotional economy. They invest attention where it yields visibility. They withdraw where it yields accountability. That calculation reveals priorities. Strong individuals respond by refusing to chase clarity. They do not seek validation from inconsistent sources. They maintain composure. They match energy without explanation. They observe without reacting. Distance neutralizes leverage. When you stop filling the gap, the dynamic changes. Either consistency emerges or intent becomes obvious. Machiavellian discipline values alignment between words, actions, and context. Where alignment breaks, motive appears. Don't confront this pattern emotionally. Don't accuse, simply adjust access, reduce availability, limit exposure. Watch how behavior shifts when the audience is removed. That response tells you everything you need to know. Number 6. They ask personal questions disguised as care. Curiosity can feel harmless. Concern can feel genuine. But when personal questions appear too often, too soon, or under the guise of empathy, they rarely serve you. Instead, they serve the asker. The strategy is subtle. They do not demand answers. They suggest interest. How are you really feeling? What made that situation so difficult for you? Do you think that choice was wise? Questions framed like this feel considerate. They feel intimate, they feel safe, and that is the point. Machiavelli recognized that knowledge is leverage. Understanding another person's fears, triggers, and motivations allows silent influence. Questions are tools to gather this knowledge, not signs of friendship. The more you reveal, the more access they gain to your psychology. Notice the timing. Are these questions asked during your vulnerable moments, when stress is high, when emotions cloud judgment, when your confidence is slightly shaken? That is rarely coincidence. Manipulators know insight is easiest to collect when defenses are weakened. Also consider the frequency. One question may be curiosity. 5 repeated inquiries form a pattern. 10 intimate probes form a map. Every question builds a mental dossier without ever seeming intrusive, and you rarely notice until patterns have solidified. Machiavelli's insight teaches that influence begins where awareness ends. When you answer questions, you unconsciously signal what is important, what matters, what wounds exist. You reveal weaknesses, insecurities, hopes, and ambitions. That information becomes subtle control over your decisions. There is another layer to observe. Questions disguised as care often include judgment cloaked in concern. Do you really think that was the best decision? Why did that affect you so much? At first, these seem like guidance or curiosity. Later, they subtly guide your self-assessment. They shape how you interpret your own actions. And shaping your perception is the first step toward shaping your behavior. Machiavelli also taught that manipulators rarely operate with overt force. They operate invisibly. They ask questions. They listen intently. They store knowledge. Then, at the right moment, that knowledge is applied. Not with aggression, but with influence that feels natural. Observe their body language during these inquiries. Do they lean in, nod, appear fully engaged? That is rehearsal. That is strategy. Attention given selectively reinforces trust, making you more likely to share. Authentic care does not require constant adjustment. Strategic curiosity does. Consider their pattern outside these conversations. Do they reference your answers in unrelated discussions? Do they connect details you shared to new opportunities or conversations? That is a subtle form of leverage. They are demonstrating awareness of your internal landscape, signaling influence without confrontation. Strong individuals respond by maintaining discretion. They answer minimally. They redirect when appropriate. They protect key details. They understand that emotional transparency is not obligation. They recognize that curiosity disguised as care is often camouflage for control. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My boundaries are untouchable. Remember, every detail you reveal shapes the dynamics. The more you protect your inner world, the less others can manipulate it. Awareness does not create distance from connection. It creates strength within it. Number 7. Their friendliness increases when you become useful. True character is often revealed not in ordinary circumstances, but in how people respond to your value. When someone's warmth intensifies as your status, success, or influence rises, it is rarely coincidental. What appears as admiration may actually be strategic positioning. Observe the pattern. At first, interactions are polite, even indifferent. You exchange pleasantries, test boundaries, gauge mutual interest. Then, as your capabilities or opportunities expand, their attention grows. Compliments increase. Invitations appear. Flattery becomes more frequent. Suddenly, friendliness feels abundant. Too abundant. Machiavelli understood that human alliances are often transactional. Relationships are rarely built purely on emotion. They are constructed for gain. The more useful you become, the more appealing you are to others who seek advantage. This behavior is subtle, yet powerful. It works because people rarely question intentions when attention feels rewarding. You may feel seen, appreciated, or understood. That validation is intoxicating, and it lures you into compliance, alignment, or trust you might otherwise withhold. Notice the psychology behind this dynamic. They are calibrating. They adjust friendliness based on perceived benefit. When you are valuable, they invest emotionally. When your usefulness diminishes, warmth recedes. Affection is no longer a constant, it is contingent. Your worth determines access to their energy, interest, and support. There is another mechanism at play: social proof and influence. Public attention towards you signals that someone is important. When this attention is combined with friendliness, observers may interpret it as a deep connection or genuine admiration. You become a figure of interest, and they benefit from association. In private, however, that same warmth may retreat, revealing that their engagement is guided more by strategy than by authentic attachment. This creates a psychological trap. You begin to equate value with acceptance. You may push harder to maintain relevance, seek approval, or perform behaviors aligned with their desires. Gradually, autonomy is influenced by the feedback loop created by conditional friendliness. Influence, not partnership, becomes the operating principle. Machiavelli warned that transactional alliances often masquerade as emotional ones. He noted that people will always act in accordance with self-interest. Recognizing this is critical. Not everyone who is kind to you is a friend. Many are observers, aligning themselves to your trajectory for potential benefit. Pay attention to escalation. Does the intensity of attention rise with achievement, visibility, or capability? Does warmth correlate with moments where your contributions matter to them? Does it diminish when your influence wanes or when your value cannot serve their objectives? These answers indicate motive. The disciplined individual responds not with emotional attachment, but with observation. They note patterns without judgment. They remain strategically detached, understanding that conditional warmth reveals priorities, not friendship. They continue engaging on their own terms, independent of how others measure their usefulness. This principle also highlights the importance of maintaining self-sufficiency. Influence gained through transactional favor is fragile. Power derived from alignment with others' interests is temporary. Awareness of these dynamics ensures that your decisions remain yours, not shaped by the ebb and flow of conditional attention. Machiavellian insight teaches that independence is a shield. Conditional kindness should be recognized as leverage, not loyalty. Your value does not obligate reciprocity. Your competence does not require submission. Recognizing manipulation disguised as camaraderie preserves autonomy. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my worth. Understanding conditional behavior transforms relationships into clarity. You no longer misinterpret flattery, attention, or selective warmth as unconditional support. Awareness allows influence to be recognized, evaluated, and resisted when necessary. True power emerges from recognizing motives before emotions cloud judgment. Not everyone who smiles at you is your ally. Some are just waiting for opportunity, waiting for leverage, waiting for the moment when your trust or vulnerability becomes their advantage. Machiavelli understood that appearances are the most potent tools in social strategy. People respond to what they see, not what they suspect. A friendly face can conceal ambition, manipulation, and calculated intent. Power rarely announces itself with noise. It moves quietly, invisibly, often under the guise of support or admiration. That's why awareness is essential. Awareness does not mean paranoia. It does not mean rejecting every gesture of kindness or doubting every interaction. Awareness is understanding that every smile, every compliment, every favor has context. Some are genuine, some are calculated. The difference is in the patterns, in the timing, in the consistency of action versus intention. Observe behavior, not words. Observe patterns, not isolated incidents. Ask yourself, when does their warmth increase? When does it disappear? What do they gain when they offer help or praise? And most importantly, what do they seek when you reveal too much? Machiavelli taught that knowledge is power, and influence begins with understanding the motives behind every gesture. Remember, relationships are rarely equal. Some are transactions disguised as friendship. Some are alliances built on leverage, and some are partnerships cloaked in charm. The wise do not confuse appearances with reality. They do not surrender judgment to emotion. They measure actions against outcomes, and they align themselves with truth, not facade. True power is not gained by distrust alone. It is gained through perception, through clarity, through the ability to navigate social landscapes without being ensnared by superficial charm. By recognizing who is strategic and who is sincere, you maintain control of your decisions, your boundaries, and your mind. So when someone acts too friendly, do not react emotionally. Do not assume intentions are pure. Observe, analyze, record patterns. Protect your inner world. Allow warmth and trust to be earned over time, not gifted freely. Your awareness is your weapon. Your discipline is your shield. And your ability to read motives before emotions cloud, your judgment is the difference between being influenced and being untouchable. If you want to master social power, sharpen your observation. Learn to see through behavior, not words. And always remember, the world is not kind. It is strategic. And now, so are you.